Great. Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Ludo, and today I'm going to be speaking broadly, I think, about how quantum field theories and conformal field theories find their IR vacuum in the spirit of what Gmo and Andre were talking about earlier today. Yeah, so I'm at Oxford, but I will shortly be moving here, so if it's here, and I promise, well, at least I think this wasn't why I was hired, just so that this terrible pun could happen. But okay, let's move on. So, right, RG. All physics is defined as a flow in some infinite dimensional theory space. These flows have sources of six, and these are the conformal field theories. So typically in our thinking about, we know the UV, and we want to know if we add some perturbation in the UV and flow down to the IR, we want to know what do we get in the IR. And it might be gaps, but let's stick to the case where it's interesting. We have some CFT. Generically, you're going to find a strong coupling on the way down, and strong coupling is bad. We lose perturbative control. But sometimes, if you have enough symmetry, you can jump between the CFTs. So you have some UV CFT, you know vaguely what you perturb with it in the IR, and you can basically jump all the way down to the IR and find some conformal field theory there. And this is the case I'm going to be talking about. The case of large N, you can do exactly this. So analytically, as I said, you just have perturbation theory about the soluble theories. But if the IR is soluble for some specific reason, like it's free, supersymmetric, or large N, you can jump all the way down. So the case of large N I'll be thinking about today are the melonic QFTs, which subsume various field theories, but that's, if you want to understand what the melonic theories are, I'll explain later in a bit more detail, but you have the SYK-like models, you've got vector-like models, and you have the tensor models. So what do we have? We basically got a solution mechanism that allows you to make that jump down to the IR for some SUSY field theories, which is extremizing the sphere-free energy, which is this quantity F or F tilde, over a family of QFTs. And we call this F-extremization. But what I'm telling you today is this known thing in the supersymmetric case also applies to certain large N QFTs, namely these melonic theories. So yeah, we have a way of solving the supersymmetric theories, we have a way of solving large N theories, and you can, hopefully I'll be able to show you today that they're basically doing the same thing, which is solving mean field-like theories, not actual mean field theories. I do need to note, of course, melonic theories, you can solve them individually. We've known how to solve the vector model for a long time. But F-extremization, or F tilde extremization, gives an organizing principle or classification. Okay, so what do I mean by solving the CFT? I've just been finding the scaling dimensions. And in particular, I want the scaling dimensions of the fundamental fields in the Ginsburg-Landau description. So how do we do that when the scaling dimension in the IR is not just this tiny perturbation around the UV? So we know, as I said, F-extremization in the SUSY case. Today, I want to tell you that large N is the same. So I'm just going to show an example of this before doing any proof, or even telling you what melonic theories are, so you can see what I'll be getting at eventually. So we take some melonic theory, which is just a large N theory with a bunch of standard kinetic terms, and then some interaction, which I'm going to hide all the details of, so I don't want to scale. So then, to leading order in N, the IR scaling dimensions are just the extrema of an incredibly simple function, which is this, which I define to be this F tilde, which is basically a sum of a known function for each of the fundamental fields. And we extremize this function subject to a constraint, which comes directly from the monomial form of interaction. Basically, sums of the scaling dimensions appearing in that little operator there need to be equal to D. And of course, that's a condition that basically you need scaling dimensions to increase in the IR. But so once you've done this, you're basically done. You constructed this function, and this function will then spit out what the scaling dimensions are in the IR of this theory once you perturb the UV, which is just a bunch of free scalars, by this particular operator. Okay, so my favorite example. Sorry, jumping ahead. So what is this quantity F tilde? It is just this. Explicitly, it's just an integral of a bunch of gamma functions. So we know exactly what it is. What does it mean? It's the free energy of a conformal field, a free conformal field on the sphere. That's basically it. Suitably regulated, of course. You need the, in this, I'm working in dreg on the sphere, and I'm multiplying through by a sine function that basically gets rid of the Weyl anomalies in even dimensions. But I've got a very explicit form for it, integral of a bunch of gamma functions. And here's a nice picture of what it looks like. This is just for free scalars, but you can do this for anything. You can do this for free fermions, vectors, superfields, and indeed you do in the supersymmetric case. So in the supersymmetric case, what I'm calling F tilde extremization is either C, F, or A maximization in 2, 3, and 4 dimensions, in case you want to make the link there. Good. So now we get to my favorite example, which is the ON vector model. So the ON vector model, hopefully you're familiar with, is basically you take a 5-4 interaction, you introduce an auxiliary field that converts it into, you add an extra field, which is this field sigma, and then you integrate out sigma, you get a 5-4 interaction. But I'm saying today this is melonic in the sense which I will get to, I promise. So let's apply the algorithm which I showed you earlier. Well, we have some interaction with sigma 5, 5. So in the IR, we should get 2 delta 5 plus delta sigma is equal to D, up to subleading corrections. We construct this thing F tilde, which is n lots of the the F tilde for the a field of scalar dimension delta phi, 1 lot of a free field of scalar dimension delta sigma. This is just an explicit function. We apply the constraint, and then we extremize subject to that constraint. Okay, and you just do that and plot the answers. So we're looking in this little red region, basically, which tells you which ones are the IR solutions. But I'm drawing all the other solutions because they're interesting as well. But yeah, totally explicit function. You just can solve it like this, and you get a bunch of lines. And in particular, this one is the one we're interested in, because in particular, you can just check analytically what is it. Well, it's exactly the standard ON solution. But we've got it from this slightly new perspective, which is that basically you're extremizing this free energy on the sphere subject to a particular constraint. But I promise to tell you what these other lines are. So there are some other lines here and here. What are they? And somehow for free, this program has immediately given you the sort of higher derivative vector models, which are dual to the AK series of high spin gravity, in case that's what. Good. Okay. Finally, what's a melonic QFT or CFT? Sponsored by CMU. So there are basically 2 principal types, which I call different melonic mechanisms, but this won't really end up mattering. What matters is that it's large n. So, and a particular thing happens, which I'll show you in a second. So SYK-like means you just still have a disorder average over the coupling. So you've got lots of fields, and you have some basically Gaussian random coupling that this is the standard SYK case. But we also have actual genuine quantum field theories that don't involve this disorder average. And that was implemented by these tensor field theories of Buran in Witten. What are they? Well, you take a matrix model, but whack in an extra index. You get a whole bunch more interactions, but if you pick one of them in particular, you can tune and you can find this particular large n melonic. But of course, there are other ones. So the leading order of the vector models, as I just showed you. And you can generalize these to arbitrary interactions. And there are a few others. So the generalized SYK approach from Rosenhaus, etc. So what do they do? The details, as I said, are irrelevant. So I'm just going to give you a schematic Lagrangian, which is quite important so that it matters only that you have this melonic dominance of the Feynman diagrammatic expansion. Basically, you only have diagrams that look like this guy, and then iterated reinsertions of this on the legs. So this is an example. You just take the big diagram and you put it inside. This, of course, basically is like an infinite sum, but it's an infinite sum we can actually do, unlike in the matrix model case. So basically, this is telling you that you only have diagrams like this for leading order in n, and the higher point functions are suppressed. So you only have 2-point corrections to leading order, and hence you only have field renormalization. This is basically what allows us to do the F-extremization. So we have a potential that's RG protected up to 1 over n corrections, which should smell a lot like supersymmetry, right? The non-real normalization theorems of supersymmetry. So let's do a little sketch of the proof. Okay, the main thing we want to prove is the main thing we need is the 2-pi formalism. We rewrite the free energy in terms of the unknown IR data, i.e. these scaling dimensions. This is a very simple example of duality. It's just a change of variables implemented by a Legendre transform. So this is, again, completely standard, but you're probably more familiar with it in the 1-pi context from your sort of QFT1 classes. You basically do a Legendre transform over the source free energy with respect to the source, and you get an effective action that's a functional of the 2-point function. This automatically resums all of the self-energy insertions. So you only need to keep the so-called 2-particle irreducible diagrams. What are they? Well, there's only one. It's just the Mellon, right? So you have, this is the effective action, and it's just what looks like a kinetic term plus a Mellon. And you can just explicitly evaluate this. We explicitly evaluate it on the conformal slice. So we're assuming conformality. And then we construct this function F tilde, which is just this weird sign that I told you about that's dividing out by the volume of hyperbolic space. And you get basically, this explicitly gives you those F tildes that I talked about earlier, plus one thing, which is the Mellon. And this Mellon is a bunch of gamma functions, but in the IR limit, because again, we want to flow from the UV to the IR, the gamma functions expand, and you get something that looks like the function I showed you earlier, plus something that looks a lot like a Lagrange multiplier, times something that looks a lot like a constraint. And guess what? That's what they're doing, right? The running coupling here is enforcing the Lagrange multiplier that gives you this condition on the sum of the scaling dimensions. So why does it work? I kind of talked about it a bit earlier, but in both of the SUSY and large N cases, we've got mean field-like behavior of the perturbing operator, in the sense that in the SUSY case, because you have a chiral ring, and in the large N case, because of large N factorization, you essentially have the same consequence, which is the correlator, the operator, the thing that you put in the action, just looks like the sum of all the individual scaling dimensions in that operator. So the scaling dimensions just add up. And after that constraint, then we extremize the mean field like free energy, which has connections to the C theorems and basically counts the number of degrees of freedom in the CFT. Okay, and I'm going to flash this up to say it gets more complicated when you add in more fields, but it's exactly the same. You just construct another function, and then you extremize it in three-dimensional space. But you get some nice, pretty pictures of lines in 3 dimensions. Okay, so just 2 minutes over. Okay, let's sum up, right? So we have this family of large N QFTs, the melonic QFTs, where the IR CFT is determined by this constrained F-extremization principle in exactly the same way as the SUSY case. So basically, you just have as much stuff as possible in this large N theory, given the fixed point constraint. And where do we go from here? Well, okay, so the constrained F tilde is constrained, and the unconstrained F tilde, which you have the one in the UV, is unconstrained. So since the free scaling dimensions are unitary maxima, which is something I didn't show you, you've got this quantity F tilde decreases under RG, which is nice evidence of some generalized F theorem violated in arbitrary dimensions. But of course, this is not proof. Clearly, this will break at the next order in N as soon as you add in any extra corrections. But is there a nice interpretation analogous to what's happening here for those next orders? That'd be interesting to find out. Likewise, is there an ADS interpretation of what's going on here? In the supersymmetric case, there's a interpretation of what you're doing when you do F-extremization is you're actually, well, extremizing the volume of the geometry of the compact manifold associated with gravity theory. And but again, this is not known. And finally, I think it's kind of neat that there's something new about dipole theory. So thank you very much, and please come chat if you're interested.
Thank you very much for a very interesting talk. Yes.
Very superficial question. If you say that similar to SUSY, right? I mean, there is no kind of additional kind of effective supersymmetry appeared in those points.
No, you can construct ones that have the effective supersymmetry, but in this case, no, it's valid for arbitrary theory.
Another type of supersymmetry, it doesn't appear. Right?
Not to my knowledge, no, I don't think so. I said we.
Metric case.
Mhm.
One can understand this discrimination, not considering a family of T that are symmetric, and then the label one is parameter for extremizing and specific value of parameters, one for function, one for family. So that's an understanding of why a formal computing extremizing. Yeah.
So why in particular the conformal field theory? Sorry,
Yeah,
is that what you're asking?
understanding where like think some derivative with respect to delta, you see that the must vanish. That's some functional function.
So if you take a derivative of these theories with respect to delta, I don't think there's an immediate connection with the 1-point function of any operators there. So you don't have this relationship with currents that you have in supersymmetric cases. No, I'm not of that. So I'm not aware of actually any link in that sense. I'm assuming conformality in this case, but I'm divided. In layout, but yeah.
So the statement is that the whole even order of not.
This holds a leading order. Exactly. So in these melonic theories. So clearly a matrix model, this will not apply. Right, a matrix model, I can't even write down the sort of equivalent of the effect fraction.
Right, any other questions? Right, no, let's thank Luda again.
Cool. Thank you very much.